Everyone is looking for the most effective way to get into UX design. And one question I have been getting pretty often is, are UX bootcamps worth it? Well, let's talk about it. UX bootcamps are usually a pretty fast way to get into the UX job market. Now, depending on your location, they're cheaper than going back to university or college and getting another degree, and also faster. And of course, they do have the added advantage of really focusing on what you need to learn to actually become a UX designer. So what are some of the advantages and disadvantages, or pros and cons, of actually getting started with a UX bootcamp? Let's start off with the pros. The first big pro is that most of the theoretical knowledge that you actually need to become a UX designer will be given to you. So if you're just starting out your career, you've probably been doing a lot of Googling, a lot of reading, a lot of watching videos from different creators, and there's just a lot of information everywhere. So if this is something that you are struggling with a bootcamp, you don't have to worry about that. All of the information, or most of the information that you need, is going to be carefully curated and presented to you to go through. The second pro is structure. So similar to the previous point that I mentioned, bootcamps provide you with structure that you might not have on your own. So you will have a curriculum that you will work with, you will know what you need to finish to advance to the next level, and it just really provides you with a structure, and you also will have a schedule. So you know probably when you need to take some classes, when you need to submit some assignments or complete some projects, and all of that really provides the structure for you that can help you grow pretty fast. The third pro is definitely accountability. When you are surrounded also with people that are going to hold you accountable, these could be people that are teaching you, your instructors, your mentors, or even other students, it helps you to stay on track. The fourth pro is community. There is a lot of community with bootcamps. Sometimes they create channels, like Slack channels, where people can meet up and everybody is at a similar level. So you don't necessarily feel like intimidated, if you're in the same space with other people, because all of these people at this level know the same things and are typically starting out from the same level as you. So having this community helps you network, meet other people who probably could have like-minded ideas, might want to pursue similar projects with you, or just people that will help you keep on track. And that is a huge pro that bootcamps offer students. The fifth pro is a certificate. Everybody loves certificates the most. While they don't carry all of the weight in the world, for some companies, they actually do carry some weight. And some companies are kind of impressed or more likely to move on with you in the hiring or interview stage if they see that you have some certification either from a traditional school or from a bootcamp. And the sixth pro is some bootcamps actually promise you a job at the end of it. And that is huge. Not all of them promise this, and even those that do promise cannot necessarily guarantee what kind of job it's going to be, if it's going to be paying or not paying, or if it's going to be remote or in person. But the point is, you will probably get a job at the end of it. So for the people that do offer that, that is a huge stepping stone for a lot of students. So now that we've spoken about the great parts, the pros, let's talk a little bit about the cons. What's not so great about taking a UX bootcamp? The first con that I've noticed in my experience is some of the material that I have seen some people show me in certain bootcamps or from certain bootcamps. Some of it looks a little bit outdated. So because they have a lot of material, some bootcamps are actually still working with materials that was created years ago, and while it's still helpful, might not be the best that you need to know in today's world or in today's UX climate. So that is definitely something to be mindful of, especially if it's one that's been around for years. The chances are that they may not consistently or constantly revamp their curriculum to match what is needed in today's world. The second con that I've noticed is a lot of bootcamps, for some reason, don't tend to focus a lot on actually teaching you about visual design and UI. So if you're coming from a background where you have absolutely no knowledge of visual design and you need to be taught from scratch, you may not get that in a lot of bootcamps, which might not be the best. So you're probably going to pay a lot of money and probably also still going to have to go to other sources to really learn some of the foundations of visual design, which is not the best. The third con is that everybody gets the same project. So if 1,000 people take one boot camp, and let's even imagine all of you are from the same country, probably in similar counties and states and all of that, you are all going to come out with similar projects in your portfolio. And once you start using those projects and putting them in your portfolio and applying for jobs, it just kind of has this feeling of, oh yes, this person is from this bootcamp. And this is actually me speaking from some level of experience, having been involved in some hiring processes and seeing some projects from students that were all essentially the same. Of course, this is something that you can fairly easily fix by just doing projects outside of the ones that are given to you within the bootcamp. However, it's not always the easiest thing. Of course, I understand that it's not really scalable to give 1,000 different students 1,000 different projects. However, it is something to just be aware of, so you don't all come out with the same projects in your portfolio. The fourth con is that they're not always very flexible in terms of time. So if you do not have a lot of time to really dedicate to this, you might end up wasting your time and your money and resources. So it's really something that if you want to get the most out of it, you kind of need a really clear schedule. So that's something to really think about. It's not like a self-paced course a lot of the time where you can just take your time and find out times that work for you. A lot of people drop out of boot camps after paying because they were not able to keep up with some of the schedules and requirements. So that's definitely something to be aware of. On the one hand, it could be a pro because it forces you to be accountable, and on the other hand, it could just force you to drop out if you don't have all of that time to dedicate. And the last pro is that they're not always very practical with the knowledge that is given. So unfortunately, some of them give a very theoretical approach to UX design. And UX design does have a decent amount of theory, but there is a lot of practical work that goes into it as a profession. So you may have to also ensure that you're getting the practical part outside of it. So you could do this by talking to mentors, talking to other people that are actively in the field, and getting ideas of projects that you could do or tasks that you could do that would give you some more hands-on knowledge of UX design. Now that we've gone through the pros and cons, one thing I'm going to say is that there is no hard and dry specific answer as to whether they're worth it or not. It really strongly depends on your own personal situation and what you think works best for you as an individual. However, I am going to say two more things that could probably help you make a decision. The first thing is, if you do have the financial ability and you are the person who really needs the structure, the accountability, the community, and all of these other great things that we mentioned when we're talking about the pros, then a bootcamp could very well be the best thing for you. Just being mindful of, the kind of projects that you do, and probably going the extra mile to ensure that your visual design skills are also being grown and honed. This could really be the best thing for you, and you should 100% explore it if you have the means. And the second thing I'll say is, if you do not have the financial ability, all is not lost. You do not absolutely need to have a bootcamp certificate to enter the job market. There are a lot of people who are self-learning or taking just more affordable courses online who are able to break into the field. If there are certain things that you need, for example, if you need accountability, you can find accountability partners either amongst your friends. If you need community, you can also join some Facebook groups, some Telegram channels. There are all sorts of platforms where young UX designers are trying to connect with others and build their skills. For structure, you can really define or create a timetable for yourself and actually stick to it. It's not the easiest thing, but it can be done. So guys, I really hope that today's video was helpful with helping you kind of make a decision. I know I didn't give a specific answer as to whether they're worth it or not, but it really just depends on your own unique situation. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you next time.